this is a live Forex trade. I'm currently in US dollar DKK, so you have an idea of what I'm trading. So this was a simple rising wedge. It's nearly complete now. So this is the target. So this is the rising wedge. I did think about selling here, but always be careful about pullbacks. So whenever you're about to enter a trade, it's better to wait until it pulls down, and then after the pullback you enter. So I entered last night, and then this is what happened last night, and then this morning it just collapsed. Now, on the bigger picture, even though this is the target for the falling wedge, as you can see, I do have a buy position here. I just wanted to take advantage of this huge pullback here. So if I zoom out, you can see that this is the buy position here. We entered here as the buy position, and this was the first resistance area. So along the first resistance area, I do look for a buy-in position, but because this rising wedge was forming, I was like, okay, let me not wait for a pullback and then buy to sort of add on to this position. I was like, okay, let me not wait for a pullback to add more position. Let me just wait until this rising wedge has completed and then take advantage of it. And then what I'm going to do though is that once this rising wedge has completed, I'm going to add a second position here. I'm going to add a buy position here so that it complements this buy position, which is already there. The take profit is all the way up here. Now, this is the same pattern which is forming on the US dollar MXN. The difference with this one, I also have a buy position, as you can see here. The difference with this one and why I didn't sell on this one was because it's not a clean rising wedge. You always want to trade clean patterns. Clean patterns means everything is touching nicely, as you can see. But here it wasn't touching nicely, and there were just so many funny looking candles. So it wasn't a clean pair. As you can see, this is more of a range than it is an actual rising wedge. So I just thought this was going to be a pullback and then it was just going to spike up. And on that note, it's important to note that just because pairs are correlated, so even though these are the US dollar pairs, US dollar MXN and US dollar DKK, they can go completely opposite to one another. As you can see, this has just completely collapsed, even though we are looking for the target all the way up here, and it is a buy position on the US dollar, right? Even though that is the case, they don't always move the same. As you can see, this was a rising wedge, but it didn't collapse in the way that the US dollar DKK collapsed. So those are important points to note, which is trade clean patterns, and the correlations of pairs aren't exactly correlated. So US dollar pairs don't always move together. Rand pairs don't always move together. New Zealand pairs don't move together. But it's important for you to know that. And so when you look at a lot of the trading information online, it's correct in the sense that the rising wedge price does fall and hit this target. But what tends to happen a lot of the times is that since brokers know how to where you're placing trades, they will knock your stop losses down. So on my strategy here, there's this point where it says you enter a short here. Now, what I've realized is that if you enter a short here, what will happen is that price will come down here. That is true, but it won't go down like this. What tends to happen is price will come down here, and as you're placing your short, price will push up where your stop loss is, hit your stop loss, and then come all the way down. So you're on the right track if you're trading rising wedges and other patterns. But if you're wondering why it wasn't getting stopped out, it's because brokers know I don't place the trade at the breakout. They know everyone's trading at the breakout. I place before the breakout. So at the pullbacks on these resistance areas here, I place the trade. It's not always accurate in the sense that sometimes price does shoot up and then collapse, but more often than not, it's accurate. A lot of the times with the rising wedges, it's usually accurate once price hits these BDF areas here. Not stop loss here, don't do that, don't listen to this. You enter here, put your stop loss there. Enter here, put your stop loss there. Don't listen to this. Brokers know that everyone's circulating the same notes, so it's easier for them to hit your stop losses. I don't set my targets right there because I know sometimes it does push down, so I do want to capitalize on that as well. So what I mean when I say brokers know where you're entering and those notes that said you enter at the breakout, look at what I was saying exactly. On the notes, remember it says you enter here and then you set your stop loss up here. Look what happened. You would have entered here and then price went up, 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 knocked your stop loss and then came all the way down. And imagine you would have lost out. So a lot of the times when you think to yourself and you say, price went down in the correct direction that I had, but I got stop loss. Why is it? It's because you're all using the same notes. Brokers all know how you're entering. So, like I was saying, you like to enter at these areas here that we were talking about, the resistance areas, BDF areas that they were labeled on the notes. So, these areas here. Now, I didn't want to enter at this point here, and why I avoid this point, and I prefer these pullbacks here is because I've also noticed that a lot of the times they also know the same thing, that there are people who are selling here. So what happens? Price shoots all the way up there and then it goes down. It also knocks their stop losses out. So what I like to do is wait for price to pull down and then pull back to the same resistance area and then enter the trade. And then my stop loss I can put all the way up here. Now I put it all the way up there and not too tight. I put it up there because I know there's going to be a pullback here. Remember the note I was just showing you where it said enter here at the breakout and then put your stop loss here, and then look what happened. People entered here, prices got knocked out there, and then what happens? Price goes down the correct direction. So hopefully you've learned a lot about brokers and their tactics, and they know where you guys are trading.